Our next speaker has helped travel companies navigate digital technologies for more than 15 years, including roles as Amtrak CIO and Director of E-commerce Programs for United. He's also held tech leadership roles for household names like Motorola, Accenture, and the US Department of Defense. Today, his time is dedicated to planning, designing, and deploying cloud, AI, and blockchain technologies. Please welcome Dee Waddell, IBM's Global Managing Director for Travel and Transportation Industries.
Good morning, Phocuswright, and good morning, LA. Isn't it great to be in LA? All right? Oh, come on, we got to wake up a little bit. LA is a great place, right? Hope you're enjoying your time. First of all, let me just say, what a great conference. It's been a little while since I've been here, since I was at United and leading United.com, to be here at Phocuswright, but I'm really pleased to see that Philip and the whole team have done a great job of continuing the conference. The innovation discussion we'll talk about is just fantastic and what you've been experiencing, so hopefully you're enjoying that. Let me first, and I know there was a brief introduction, but let me just say that I am an industry person, okay? Been in the industry 20-plus years. This is where the passion, this is where we can bring together a world to make it a little bit better, right? So I hope that you're all passionate about this. But today, we're going to talk about blockchain, right? Now, this isn't an IBM commercial. This is about blockchain, and more importantly, what you can do with it. What are some real use cases? We've talked about a paradox. Is it hype? Is it hope? And frankly, is it, what is it without all of the BS that goes along with it? All right, so let me just talk a little bit about that. But first of all, I had to take up this opportunity. So some of the staff behind the scenes, they said, they created this little blockchain. So this is going to be my prop today, if I can get this up. And I tried to put it on, and it kind of got in my mic. It said, what is blockchain? So you have a block, and you have chain. Right, so I'm going to get into a little bit of the details, not much. So this is going to be my prop today to talk about blockchain. Maybe I'll put it on for just a moment, and then I'll take it off, and you can get a picture. There you go. Blockchain. Does that look good? Okay, come on. All right? All right, we did that safely. Well, thank you. We'll just keep that right there. So let me just share with you a few things. We're entering clearly a new era with trust. And we'll talk about trust as a key foundation in blockchain, and not just blockchain, the technology, but when we talk about blockchain in a business context, it really truly is about trust, about working together as networks, as organization. But frankly, you've got issues around identity, right? So about 1 in 15 people have issues where they have their identity stolen. We have security issues. There's a real trust. Frankly, this is the whole purpose of the middleman, about where you can have trust with that organization, with that group, right? I'll talk a little bit more about that. We have data disruption. We know within organizations, about 80% of the world's data is within organizations, or at least enterprise data is within the enterprise, and 20% is externally available. So we have these massive amounts of data within the enterprises, and of course, this is a great group with startups and others. What are some of the key questions you ask some of the enterprise, whether it be airlines, hotels, travel suppliers, whatever it may be? If you can give me that piece of data, here's what I can do, right? So you'll hear that in some of the startups as well. So data is huge. We also know there's a lot of dark data, so new sources of data with AI and other things that you can get access to, video. About 80% of the world is in dark data, so that's another piece we talk about. And of course, business disruption. The thing that we always like to talk about is on the Fortune 500, half of the companies on the Fortune 500 since 2000 are no longer on it, right? So we know there's just this business disruption piece. So let me talk a little bit about the basic. Now, this is about as far as I'm going to go on blockchain, the technology, and some of the concepts behind it, because I really want to dig into the use cases. You're more than welcome to come and see me afterwards about some of the specifics. There's plenty of videos online about blockchain technology. But what I want to talk about is the business concepts. The problem, the fact is we have a lot of point-to-point. We have a lot of middlemen taking up roughly 15 to 20% of the transaction value in the value chain. So the problem is that it's inefficient, expensive, vulnerable. So how do we get business networks to work together? Participants that digitally have an identity that can be validated, authenticated, very important. We'll talk about that. And of course, assets. So if you've read the book Blockchain Revolution by Don Tapscott, Don Tapscott has a blockchain research institute. If you haven't seen that, I'm actually on our board of that and work with Don fairly closely. But the point is, he sees it in different ways. The web was really about the internet of information, emails, pictures, things that you can easily copy or duplicate without any problem. Right? I send a picture, it's not a problem. They can have multiple copies of it. It doesn't have any bearing for me. Now, when you get into assets, when you're talking about, money, when you're talking about your car as an asset, your home, there's intangible and tangible. These things, as we know, you cannot have multiple copies of. When you have $1, there's a serial number on it, and that needs to make sure that is used, that we're not copying money, right? So when you're talking about assets, it becomes a completely different world, and this is where blockchain technology is a real fit because of the architecture around the solution. You'll see this. It's about having a ledger, right? Who's actually done a hand ledger before? I remember, I think when I was 17, we started a t-shirt business, and I wanted to make sure I knew of my income, my outgoing, and I remember doing my own hand ledger. Very important technology, because that's how I knew when it was coming in, was going out. I didn't have any double accounting. I think we've done that. So I think it's a very important concept for the basis of blockchain. And of course, how do you transact? How do you make it secure? There's multiple technology. I won't get into that, but you need to have transparency. And one important piece, and I'm using different words than some of the blockchain you'll see online, but finality. When you sell or take something, you need to know that that is done in a digital environment. We call that finality. All right, so bottom line is the blockchain technology builds on business concepts, right? A little bit more about this. Now, you can argue that there's been hype and hope. I would prefer to say that we have business discussions, and blockchain as a term has turned into a representative example of networks coming together and how do I use the technology. And then you have the actual technology. But I wanted to share just a few things from the World Economic Forum. You've got 10% of global GDP forecasted will be stored on blockchains or blockchain-related technology by 2025. I mean, these are significant, right? You've got $176 billion of business value added by blockchain by 2025, and then surging to $3.1 trillion by 2030. This is from Gartner. You've got 17% of banks already released blockchain applications. Roughly 2.3 billion is the estimated size from a technology perspective. And fortunately, we've done a lot of work in this, and we are the #1 provider out there. I'll talk a little bit more on that. Let me go into this. So this is a key point. Blockchain, the technology, is ready for production. And there are people experimenting. There's companies, I'm going to share a little bit today, really experimenting and then conducting real business on blockchain technology today, okay? So I want to make sure that it's very clear that it is real, and 66% of the organizations are already actively exploring, right? So again, this is about enabling trust, and I'll talk about some of the specific pieces in travel as I lead up our travel and transportation. New revenue streams, right? It's very interesting as we have multiple of these engagements that we have. Roughly about 60% of these organizations, or the engagements that we're having around blockchain, are focused on new business models. And I'm going to showcase one in particular that many companies are trying to do. Removing barriers. This talks to the middlemen. Now, just to be clear, I don't believe that the middlemen are going to be eliminated. To me, that's a little bit on the hype side. We have very well-settled middlemen that provide value in the current environment. And frankly, I think that they will adapt. They'll find ways to add value in the new world. They're very smart. And then the last one is about reinventing business. And we do see it, not just business, but around the world, organizations, and frankly, making it better for people, for industries, for organizations, and frankly, the world. We'll talk just briefly on that. Okay, so I'm trying to give you a sense. Now, we deal a lot. We've got over 500 engagements. Roughly, I understand, just under 100 active networks that we are working with to help drive this, primarily in the enterprise space. And we work with large companies, of course. We work with startups and small companies. But these are some of the ones that we're focused on in some of the areas. And I'm going to share with you a little bit more specificity. But all the way from the global trade, which is one that I've been helping lead up with TradeLens and Maersk. Perhaps you've heard a little bit about that. I've spent a lot of time in Copenhagen working with Maersk on pulling this together, so we have a lot of lessons learned on that. Also in travel, we see organizations such as Travelport from a GDS perspective is looking at how do I do billing and reconciliation, how do I do content. Very interesting that we're working together on. We just made an announcement together on that. Further networks, Loyal, there's a few. We've got payments, food safety I'm going to talk about. But fact is everybody is, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are seeing value in leveraging blockchain for their business and creating networks together. So this is just a few, but it is real, and it's cross-industry. And this is what's very interesting. So we are leading, and we've made some big bets in about 4 of these that we think are fundamental in transforming not just the industries that they're focused on, but again, making the world a better place, which is a real purpose we have at IBM. Proud to be part of it. So let me just tell the one that I'm most closely familiar with since I helped pull it together is around TradeLens. This is around the container shipping industry. This is around bringing cross-border shipments. Who's familiar with when you do paperwork across different customs borders and then shipping across? There's a lot of paperwork. There's a roughly 15% drag on global supply. By making this efficient and having it, whether it be an electronic workflow or event notifications, that's the primary use cases here. This is, roughly it's going to drive, we think, upwards of 15% on overall global trade. It's pretty significant. Food trust. Let me just give you a little bit here. I pulled together some stats on this, but food trust, the point is traceability of food. So in the example here, we had sliced mangoes with Walmart. When there was some sort of foodborne illness that happened in that environment, they did a test, as I understand it, and in the traditional way, it took about 7 days to find out where the farm was, how the illness, who actually bought it, and that whole supply chain end to end. What Food Trust does is around the provenance, and it's around making sure that that you can know. And we actually took 7 days down to 2.2 seconds to find out where it is. So this is from food, from farm to fork, as we call it, and having that provenance. Let me go into the WorldWire. There's just a couple more here around WorldWire. This is around payments around the world. WeTrade is another one. If you don't have access to capital and invoicing and various things, we've made a stake in here. Let me just go through what I see in travel, and I want to spend a little bit of time on this. So one of the things in travel, I see really 4 large use cases, and this is a good one to take a picture of if you'd like. Identity is a real key problem here. One of the pieces on identity is we see that we've had centralized logons for a while, logging onto a website. You've had federated. We know about OAuth and multiple sites where we've had Facebook and Google and others, and Amazon. We're starting to get into this self-sovereign. And if you haven't heard about self-sovereign, this is about decentralized identification, where people can then validate who you are. You can put that in a wallet, and there's a few of these companies actually doing this today. Civic, for example. They are truly trying to create a secure identity ecosystem, providing some tools to that self-key. They actually have a wallet application that you can do, and it doesn't store data, particularly on the provider or where you're buying it from, and also government. So it can be in a way that it doesn't have the actual data on their server. So governments can't find you per se. We're actually working with our IBM identity management tool with Canada. We've done with Secure Key, it's called, a test up in Canada to validate people to have a secure, decentralized, blockchain-based trust. So there's a few things in identity that we just need to make sure happens. Number two, this is very interesting. This was the other prop I wanted to do. I'm going to rep them here just because they were out. They spent some real money here at the conference. Who's actually been around, if you haven't been over to the bee nest or the bee token? Look at this. I just wanted to share this, and I know they're out here as well. This is the business model, okay? For bee nest, 0% booking fees, 0% commission. Earn rewards so you get rewarded. There's 0 booking fees, and there's 0 commission fees for suppliers. Okay, last time I checked, is there such a business model for that? I mean, can anybody make money when there's 0 cost and you're giving rewards? Okay? So this is what's happening in the distribution marketplace. There's actually several of these that are doing similar concepts that are providing these OTA-like experiences of booking, but they're promising 0 commissions, 0 fees, and rewards for you. And this is all based because they issue cryptocurrency, right, that then they can have and appreciate over time. So that's some of the value. So it's a little bit different than, of course, advertising in the Googles, but this is about now cryptocurrency there. So let me keep going through because I know we're getting close to time. Currency and loyalty. This is very interesting on Loyal. This is about how do I leverage loyalty points, miles, whatever it may be. There's some pieces there. There's pieces like TripKey actually has a token, like a cryptocurrency that's for the loyalty. How do I securely do that? I have settlement, billing are big issues around here where I have international currencies, time, dollar saved. And let me just, the last one is a little bit interesting around operations. So for instance, aviation vital log, safety info, right? Certifications for pilots. Where do I put that so I know that it is an actual certification? There's about hours of the plane, checks. Trust a bit is interesting about compensation. And there's other things as well. Let me keep going. I just got just 2 more slides here. One is the additional examples. Bottom line is we've got over 500 of these engagements going in various industries. Just within the travel and transportation, I just looked at our logs. We have over 150 engagements that we're exploring with large companies, small companies, where blockchain can come in from a business model and technology as well. So let me just finish up here. Bottom line, blockchain truly does have potential. Now there is a lot of hype, discussions about that, how it will completely transform the world, but in a lot of cases it will. You've seen some of the numbers. And what we believe, that by strengthening some of the trust, we are empowered to change people's lives, our industries, and to change the world. So what can you and what can we do together? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dee Waddell.
Business is built on connections. This is especially true when it comes to doing business in China. Connect by Dragon Trail connects SMEs worldwide to the Chinese travel trade, Chinese KOLs, and Chinese consumers using live webinar, always-on recruitment campaign, and digital contact center solutions, all built on WeChat. Dragon Trail Interactive is cooperating with a number of tourism boards to launch Connect for their destinations. Contact us at connect.dragontrail.com for details.